Ladies and gentlemen, there's something magical about the world before the sun rises. When the clock strikes 4 a.m., the world remains asleep, yet the brave choose to rise, not because they must, but because they desire to. They seek to transform their lives, and if you're serious about change, begin by waking while others dream. At 4 a.m., you're not merely ahead of your day, you're ahead of most of the world. You gain silence, space, and the power to craft your future without interruptions. No notifications, no noise, just you, your thoughts, your breath, and your goals. It's not easy. Your bed will beckon, your mind will murmur. 5 more minutes. But the real question is, how much do you want it? Your dreams, your purpose, your new life, they lie on the other side of discipline. When you master the morning, you start mastering your habits, your excuses, and ultimately your life. People believe success hinges on talent. It doesn't. It's about repetition, consistency, showing up time and again. Those who rise at 4 a.m. grasp this secret. They give themselves a head start, building a world within before facing the world outside. Wake early to reclaim your time and silence. It sounds simple, but within that act lies a new life awaiting you. The truth is, most of us spend our days reacting to alarms, messages, deadlines, demands. From the moment our eyes open, the world pulls us in countless directions. But imagine this: what if you woke before the world could reach you? What if you opened your eyes when the sky was still dark, with only the sound of your breath? That silence isn't empty. It's filled with possibilities. It's your chance to choose how your day begins, rather than letting the world decide. At 4 a.m. the world is quiet, your phone is silent, your family sleeps, your city rests, and in that stillness something sacred emerges. No rush, no pressure, no noise. You finally have time to hear your thoughts, the ones lost in the chaos of the day. You get to be with yourself, without distraction, without interruption. This isn't about productivity for hustle's sake, it's about presence. It's about reclaiming a part of your life stolen by noise, comparison, and urgency. Time is our most precious asset, yet we treat it as infinite. We spend hours scrolling, watching, consuming, while our dreams quietly fade into the background. But at 4 a.m. you remember. You recall that you once wanted more, that something inside you refuses to settle. In that quiet hour, you can begin. You can read a book, stretch your body, meditate, journal, or simply start anew before anyone else. Owning your time isn't about filling it with tasks. It's about giving it meaning. When you wake early, you claim the first slice of the day, not the leftovers, not the drained hours, but the freshest, purest moments. You begin to honor yourself, telling the universe, I matter. You're not here to merely survive your day. You're here to own it. That ownership starts with a habit that creates a ripple, changing how you view the rest of your day. When you begin with silence, you carry calm into the noise. When you start with clarity, you face chaos with grace. You stop feeling behind, stop rushing. You're no longer chasing time. You're walking in rhythm with it. You start to feel powerful, not because you're doing more, but because you're doing what matters first. Most people wait for peace, for a vacation, a Sunday, a perfect moment. But peace isn't something you wait for. It's something you create. Those early hours are your canvas. Paint them slowly, breathe into them deeply, and create a morning that reflects the life you want. Because how you start your day shapes everything, not just your mood, but your choices, your energy, your mindset. No one sees your 4 a.m. efforts, no one applauds when you sit in the dark and choose discipline over comfort. But that's the point. You're not doing it to impress. You're doing it to return to yourself. Once you taste the stillness of a morning that belongs only to you, you'll never trade it for an extra hour of sleep. Morning discipline shapes your character. It may sound like a motivational cliché, but it's a quiet truth that reshapes your entire life when you live by it. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't scream for attention or show off. It's a quiet decision you make every single day. When you choose to wake in the early hours, when the bed feels warm and the world outside is dark and silent. That choice slowly carves your inner world. The moment you rise early, not because you have to, but because you choose to, something within you shifts. It starts with small things. You begin to value your word. You said you'd wake up, and you did. You start to trust yourself. You set a goal and follow through. That simple act of showing up for yourself, at an hour when no one is watching, expecting, or applauding, is the root of discipline, and it has nothing to do with perfection. You will falter. You'll hit snooze some days, sleep in others. But when you come back, when you try again, when you rebuild the habit, that's when your character is forged. Character isn't built in moments of comfort. It's built in those moments when your feelings scream one thing, but your values whisper another. It's built when you choose effort over ease, commitment over convenience. Morning discipline trains your mind to lead your body. It teaches you that feelings aren't facts. Just because you feel tired doesn't mean you can't move. Just because you feel lazy doesn't mean you can't act. This strength, to rise above your moods, becomes your edge in a world addicted to comfort. Discipline is rebellion. When you train yourself to do what needs to be done before your mind talks you out of it, you build something greater than a routine. You build resilience, integrity. You become someone who doesn't fold when life gets heavy. You start treating your time like it matters. Stop wasting it on things that drain you, and begin protecting your energy like it's sacred. Morning discipline creates order in your life. You notice your thoughts more clearly. Become intentional with your actions. You don't start your day reacting to the world. You begin with purpose, whether it's exercising, writing, planning, meditating, or simply sitting in silence. What you do in those early mornings shapes who you become when the world is watching. Because the truth is, public victories are built on private discipline. Over time, this discipline seeps into every part of your life. You start keeping promises to others because you now keep them to yourself. You become reliable, not just to the world, but to your own heart. You stop chasing motivation and start relying on structure. You no longer need someone to push you. You're driven by something deeper, anchored in who you're striving to become. The beauty of morning discipline is that it requires no talent, no fancy tools, no one's approval. Just you, your alarm, and a choice. The same choice every day. Each time you make it, you sharpen your spirit, toughen your will, and step closer to becoming someone who doesn't just talk about change but lives it. Real change doesn't come from loud, grand decisions. It comes from small, quiet ones, like waking when you said you would, even when no one else sees. Consistent mornings create consistent growth. It's not about one powerful day or one perfect morning. Real growth doesn't explode overnight. It builds, brick by brick, moment by moment, choice by choice. When you start your day with intention, again and again, it's like planting seeds. Not every seed bears fruit immediately, but with enough time, something strong takes root inside you. There's power in repetition. Waking early isn't a one-time effort. It's a rhythm, a silent beat that keeps you grounded when life feels chaotic. The world will throw challenges, disappointments, distractions, but when you have a morning routine you return to, it becomes your anchor, your space of stability in an often unstable world. From that stability, real growth begins, not just in what you do, but in how you think, how you respond, how you carry yourself. Consistency isn't glamorous or exciting, but it's effective. You may not feel the change, but over time it becomes undeniable. The early hours teach patience, the art of showing up not for results but for the process. When you fall in love with the process, you stop rushing the outcome. You begin to appreciate the small wins, the quiet mornings when you read a single page, the short workouts that build strength, the peaceful walks that clear your head. These moments may seem small, but they're never wasted. They're investments. Every morning you choose to show up, you add value to yourself. You stop waiting for motivation, perfect conditions, or someone to push you. You understand that discipline is a muscle, and every time you wake up and follow through, you strengthen it. Eventually, it becomes natural, part of who you are. Not someone who talks about change, but someone who lives it, quietly and consistently. Your morning routine is where growth finds a place to land, where new habits take shape, where old excuses begin to die. It's where you separate yourself from the crowd. Most people wake up and dive into distraction, but you create space to learn, think, move, breathe. That space gives birth to clarity, clarity leads to direction, and direction leads to progress. When your mornings are consistent, your values stay in front of you. You're reminded daily of who you want to become. It's easy to forget your goals in the rush of life, but when you give yourself even 1 hour of focus each morning, you keep your purpose alive, your vision fresh. You align yourself daily with your future self. People often say they want transformation, to be more confident, healthier, more productive, but they wait for a spark, something dramatic to wake them up. The truth is, growth isn't a firework, it's a sunrise. Slow, gentle, quiet, but unstoppable. When you build a morning rhythm and stay loyal to it, you become unstoppable too. Not because everything is easy, but because you keep going, keep showing up, because you decided your growth matters more than your comfort. The secret to a better life isn't in doing more, it's in doing what matters, again and again. It shapes who you are. Your journey begins each morning when the world is quiet, and you choose to rise. Those early hours offer mental clarity and focus. When the world is still asleep, and the noise hasn't yet begun, there's a different kind of silence that wraps around you. It's not an empty silence, but one filled with calm, giving your mind the space it rarely gets during the day. No buzzing notifications, no background chatter, no traffic, no clutter, just you and your thoughts. In that space, your mind begins to breathe, slows down, sharpens, becomes more aware. In that state of awareness, you see things differently, more clearly, more calmly, more wisely. Clarity isn't just about knowing what you want. It's about knowing what you don't want. When you wake early, you give yourself time to think without pressure. You're not rushing through breakfast or replying to emails. You're not surrounded by demands. Because of that, your thinking is cleaner. You can reflect on what truly matters, not just what's urgent. You can ask yourself questions you usually avoid. Am I happy with the direction I'm heading? What am I tolerating that I shouldn't? What can I let go of? These questions come more easily when your brain isn't overloaded, and the early morning hours provide that mental spaciousness. Focus is something we all crave but rarely find. The reason isn't a lack of ability, it's a lack of environment. Focus can't grow in chaos, it needs protection, a boundary between you and distraction. The early morning creates that boundary effortlessly. It offers a window of time when no one expects anything from you. That freedom is rare, and that's why it's powerful. It allows you to dive deep into what matters to you. Reading, writing, planning, learning, or simply thinking. The quality of that focus is different. It's not just about getting things done, it's about doing them with presence. There's also something to be said about the freshness of your brain in the early morning. You've just rested, your mind isn't yet tired. Your decisions aren't pulled in different directions. That mental energy is at its peak, and what you do with it sets the tone for your entire day. If you begin with clarity, you carry clarity into your tasks. If you start with focus, your mind stays organized, even when the world gets busy. It's like setting a compass before you start walking. You know where you're headed, and are less likely to get lost in distraction. Mental clarity brings emotional balance. When you begin the day in silence, you check in with yourself before the world checks in with you. How am I feeling? What do I need today? What do I want to accomplish? These small self-checks make a big difference. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. That intention helps you handle stress in a more grounded way. You're less likely to overreact, less likely to feel overwhelmed, because your mind had time to reset. to anchor, to find its center. No secret tool or expensive program can replace the power of a clear, focused mind. The earliest hours of the day are the most natural, affordable, and effective way to get there. It doesn't require perfection, just the willingness to get up, to sit with yourself, and to be fully present before the world begins to move. That presence is what makes the difference between merely surviving the day and truly living it with clarity, purpose, and peace. Waking early also improves your health and sleep cycle. It doesn't just shift your schedule, it aligns your entire system. The human body has a natural rhythm, an internal clock, and when you respect that rhythm, everything functions more smoothly. Waking at 4 a.m. may feel tough at first, but as your body adjusts, you'll notice you feel more refreshed, balanced, and energetic throughout the day. It's not magic, it's biology working in your favor. The body was designed to rise with the light and rest with the darkness. When you honor that pattern, you give your body what it's always needed: consistency. Your sleep improves, not just in quantity but in quality. You start sleeping earlier not because you're forcing yourself, but because your body craves rest at the right time. Your mind calms before bed. You're not scrolling late into the night, battling endless thoughts. You have structure, purpose. When you live your day intentionally, you fall asleep peacefully. That deep, uninterrupted, natural sleep repairs your body in ways no supplement or energy drink can. It supports your immune system, sharpens your memory, stabilizes your mood, all because you chose to take control of your mornings. Your mental health lifts too. Early risers often experience less anxiety and depression, not because they're stronger, but because they're more in sync with themselves. They give themselves space to breathe, think, and process emotions before the day's demands begin. When you start your day in a quiet, present, centered way, your nervous system gets a break. Instead of jumping into stress, you ease into the day, feeling calmer, more prepared, less rushed. When your mind feels safe and grounded, your body follows. Waking early also offers the chance to build healthy habits. You have time to drink water, stretch, exercise, or take a walk. These small actions done consistently lead to long-term benefits. Your body grows stronger, your heart works better, your digestion improves, your skin starts glowing. These aren't coincidences. They're the result of steady, intentional choices. When you start seeing these changes, you respect your body more. You begin feeding it better food, saying no to late-night junk, building a lifestyle around wellness, not just survival. This also changes how you relate to energy. Most people rely on coffee, sugar, or stimulants to drag themselves through the day. But when you sleep well and wake with purpose, your energy feels natural, clean, lasting. You don't crash halfway through the afternoon. You're not dragging yourself out of bed with resentment. Instead, you rise with a sense of calm and power. That energy stays with you, not because of caffeine, but because of rhythm. You start to see that health isn't something you chase when things go wrong. It's something you build every day through choices that seem small but matter most. Going to bed on time, choosing rest over endless scrolling, moving your body even when it's not convenient, saying yes to early mornings even when it's easier to hit snooze. These choices shape your body, mind, and soul. When your health improves, everything improves. Your relationships, your work, your confidence, your creativity. Health is the foundation. When you start waking early, you're not just becoming more productive, you're becoming more balanced, more connected to yourself. You're aligning your life with the natural flow of time, creating space for healing, growth, and real strength to take root. You become someone others look up to. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not something you announce. It happens quietly through small acts of consistency and discipline. No one sees the choices you make each morning when no one's watching. But people begin to notice, not just what you do, but who you're becoming. They see the glow in your eyes, the calm in your words, the strength in how you carry yourself. Without even trying, you start to inspire. Not because you're perfect, but because you're intentional. When you wake early and live with purpose, you create an invisible shift in your presence. There's something magnetic about someone who's grounded. You speak less but say more. You rush less but achieve more. You complain less but carry more grace. People around you feel it. They wonder what changed, why you're not as tired, not as overwhelmed. They ask how you manage everything with such steadiness. The truth is, the change started long before they noticed. It began with a quiet, personal decision to rise when the world slept, to choose yourself. This influence isn't forced. It's earned through early mornings no one celebrated, through days when it would have been easier to stay in bed, but you got up anyway, through quiet moments when you reflected instead of reacted. Over time, people sense you're reliable. Your words match your actions. You're not swayed by moods or situations. That makes you trustworthy, and trust is rare. It makes you someone people want to follow, not because you're loud, but because you're steady. Leadership isn't about titles. It's about presence, energy, character. When you live with consistency, when you show up for yourself, you naturally show up better for others. You listen more deeply, more sincerely. You help more selflessly. People feel safe around you, inspired, not intimidated. That's what makes you someone they look up to. Not perfection, but authenticity. Not dominance, but quiet strength. Your habits begin to speak louder than your advice. People see you taking care of your health, making time for reflection, prioritizing peace. They notice how you treat your time like it matters. Without preaching or pushing, you plant seeds, seeds of possibility, of change. You become a walking example that transformation is possible, that discipline can be beautiful, that simplicity is powerful. You also uplift others naturally. When you're rooted, you don't compete or compare. You celebrate others because you're not threatened. You help others rise because you know what it feels like to rise alone. That kind of support creates deep respect. People see you not just as someone doing well, but as someone making others better. That's the mark of real leadership, not how far you go alone, but how many you bring with you. The more consistent you become, the more dependable you are. In a world full of noise and chaos, dependability is gold. People trust your word, value your opinion, seek your perspective, not because you know everything, but because you've proven through action that you mean what you say, and say what you mean. It's never about trying to impress. It's about becoming your best self. When you commit to that quietly, daily, relentlessly, you become the kind of person who lights a path for others, not by shouting from the front, but by walking ahead with humility, strength, and enduring clarity. In a world constantly spinning, notifications buzzing, deadlines chasing, comparisons screaming, it's easy to feel like life is just happening to you. One moment blends into the next, and before you realize it, the day is gone, leaving you wondering where your time went. But when you wake early, before the noise begins, something remarkable happens. You reclaim your time, your choices. You start the day from a place of calm instead of chaos. That calm isn't just a feeling. It's power. It's the quiet power of knowing you're in charge of your life. That first hour of your day is sacred. It belongs to you, no one else. When you use it with intention, even if it's just sitting in silence or writing down your thoughts, you're telling yourself, I matter. My peace matters. My direction matters. You build a strong inner core, a part of you that stays steady no matter how wild the day gets. That steadiness is control. Not over everything around you, but over how you show up, how you react, how you choose. It's not about perfection. It's about being present enough to respond, not just react. As this routine continues, that inner peace travels with you. It stays in meetings, in traffic, in your voice during conflict. It strengthens your patience when things don't go as planned. You notice the space between a problem and your response. You stop jumping into stress. You pause, breathe, decide. That space is peace, that pause is strength. And both are born in those early morning hours when the world is still, and you can simply be. This sense of control transforms your relationship with time. You no longer feel there's never enough of it. You stop saying, I don't have time, because now you do. You created it, protected it, shaped it. Time feels different when you decide where it goes. You become less reactive to others' urgency. Stop letting everyone pull you in all directions. You become anchored, grounded, certain. And certainty is one of the purest forms of peace. When your mind isn't racing first thing in the morning, you hear the quiet truth inside you. What do I truly want? What have I been ignoring? What do I need to heal from? These questions don't need loud answers, they need space. In the early hours, space is all around you. Slowly, you reconnect with yourself, not the version that performs for the world, but the one that's honest, simple, whole. That reconnection brings a peace no vacation or escape can match, because it's not outside you. It's within, and you finally made time to sit with it. There's no need to wait for life to slow down to find peace. It may never slow down, but you can choose to rise before the rush, to create stillness instead of waiting for it. In doing so, you build something stronger than motivation, discipline, emotional maturity, a home inside yourself where you can return when the world gets too loud. That's what early mornings give you. Not just extra hours, but a way to lead your life from the inside out. Peace becomes something you carry, not something you chase. And that makes all the difference. You stop reacting and start leading your day. This shift may seem small at first, but it changes how your life feels. When you wake late just in time, your day becomes a game of catch up, always behind, always responding, always dealing with what's already happening. It's like being in the passenger seat of your own life, moving but not steering. But when you choose to wake early, before the demands begin, you put your hands on the wheel. You decide where the day goes. You become proactive, not reactive. Most people don't realize how much of their life is lived in reaction mode, reacting to messages, emails, moods, traffic, others' expectations. Because they're constantly reacting, they never feel in control, never settled. Their emotions are at the mercy of whatever the day throws. But when you take time in the morning to set your own intentions before anyone else speaks into your day, everything changes. You begin with clarity, and that clarity becomes your armor. You're no longer easily pulled by distractions or pushed by urgency. You respond with calm, move with purpose. Leading your day doesn't mean you have everything figured out. It means making conscious choices, deciding how to use your energy, time, and focus. You're no longer waiting to see how the day unfolds. You're shaping it, planning, preparing, protecting your peace. That's leadership in its purest form, not over others, but over yourself. When you have that self-leadership, you become more stable. You stop depending on the day's mood to dictate your attitude. You build your day from within. This shift also brings freedom. Ironically, structure creates freedom. When you know your priorities, you spend less time on things that drain you. You're not just busy, you're effective. You know what deserves your attention and what doesn't. That inner filter, that ability to choose where your attention goes, is one of the most powerful forms of leadership you can develop. It's built in the early hours when your mind is clear and your intentions are fresh. You make better decisions, not rushing, not operating from stress. You think ahead, solve problems before they appear. Even when the unexpected happens, because it always does, you handle it better. You're not already on edge. You have space within to respond thoughtfully, not react emotionally. That pause, that gap between stimulus and response, separates someone who leads from someone who follows. Starting your day with leadership boosts your confidence. When you complete even one small task in the morning, reading, journaling, stretching, meditating, you already have a win. That win creates momentum, telling your brain, I can do this. I follow through. That feeling carries into your meetings, your work, your relationships. People feel the difference. You walk prepared, not panicked, calm, not chaotic. You bring a presence that says you're in control of yourself. That energy is rare. It draws people in, because most are searching for someone with their feet on the ground. This kind of leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about saying, I don't want to drift anymore. I don't want to just survive each day. I want to shape it to be awake, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. That awakening begins in the morning, in the quiet when you choose to lead instead of react.